Welcome everybody to my stream. I'm Tim Haight. I'm your host today, and what we're going to do is we are going to show you how to build a really great POS system for your small business. Now, there are plenty of videos out there, and mine especially. I've got a bunch of older videos that I'm doing, but this time I'm going to start, and we're going to center our attention on a dual register system, something that has two registers, either a coffee house or a cafe, maybe something like that, where you don't need a lot of registers to actually operate the system. And so what you see right here is a map. So the map that we have is verifying an application. What the heck? The map that you see is what we are going to build basically in a nutshell. So here we have the launch page. And that's one of the very first things that we're going to do. And we typically build our way backwards. We go from the outside in. This time we're going to kind of go the other direction, and hopefully it'll be a little easier for you guys to understand. You guys will be able to follow a lot easier, and it'll make sense. I'm positive. Just do as I do. If I name something dork, name it dork, because it'll be so much easier in the end for you to follow exactly what it is that I'm doing. So we're going to start with this. And what we have primarily is a launch page. And then the launch page breaks down into two category pages. Now the category pages, it doesn't show that here on this particular diagram, but the category pages are basically just like your broad spectrum categories. So if you have, let's say you have a small hardware store, and you have nails and fasteners, and you have tools and hammers, and you have building materials, and you have basic supplies and glues and hardware, basic hardware locks and stuff like that. Those are all categories. So then those categories will basically, you go from a category page to an actual sale page, and that, I apologize for that not being on here, but that's kind of the way that it's going to be. So we're going to go from the category page to an actual sale page, which will have all of your products listed on that page, and then all of every time you push a button, like let's say you have screws, and they're a specific type of screw, 1.25" screw, you can hit that button and it'll sell one of them. Or if you want to, you can add stuff into the quantity box and you can sell 1,000 of them. So you're basically unlimited as to what you can do with this register, and it works really, really, really well. Now, I've used Filemaker for years and years and years, and I will tell you right now, it is a very glitchy system, and there are easier ways of doing it, and there are more complicated ways of doing it. My way of doing it is kind of right in the middle, but it's very, 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 very effective, and it works 100% of the time. So you're not going to have those problems with lost inventory, dropped sales, dropped invoices, duplicated invoices, duplicated, like when you push a button, you're not going to have like 15 of them show up on your invoice page, and you're going, wait, I only pushed the button once. You know, and that kind of stuff does happen. Believe you me, it does happen. Just ask Thomas; he'll tell you if he's watching this show. So from those pages, you'll have what's called an invoice page, which here I have the little green arrows, and what that means is that it takes two of these to actually create something. So you have to have a register page and an invoice portal inside of that page in order for it to work properly. So that's why these two are linked. And then we have a duplicate, not necessarily did I copy it, but a duplicated one on the other side for your secondary register. Then there is Backoffice. Backoffice is for management people. This is for your basic management people, so they can go in and see things and look at the inventories, and whatever you want them to do, we will work through that, and whatever access you want them to have, we'll make that happen. And that's the reason why we have here on the next page, we basically, or the next little level, we have 3 inventory systems. So one inventory, now all these inventory systems are just copies of each other, and they're literally just copied pages that we create. And these inventory pages, what they do is they make sure that you don't have two people on the same page at the same time. So if you go into, let's say there are two registers, which that's exactly what we're doing this time. So you have two registers, and both people are utilizing the inventory at the exact same time. And so how the program works is it goes in, it actually searches for the product, and then it does blah, 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 all this other stuff. Now, you don't want two people in there at the same time, because you're both going to be searching for things, and the computer is going to be going, what, which one do I take data from? Which one do I take data from? So we're going to split those up. We're going to actually just create inventory page for register 1 and an inventory page for register 2, and they're both going to be identical, but they're going to be hidden so that no one actually ever sees them. They're just going to be in the background floating around. From there, we have a sales reporting. So every time someone makes a sale, you push buttons and start making sales, and you close out your invoice because someone's either paid it or whatever the case might be, or covered it. Then that will go into a sales reporting system, and then that system will be available to the back office, and it will also be available to the admin portal. Now, the admin portal, as you see here in this particular diagram, the admin portal is the only portal that will allow you to go to all other pages, or all other, for lack of a better term, all the other places inside of your solution, and be able to make effective changes. So that if someone really messed up an invoice and you're like, oh, what am I going to do? Well, you can go into the admin portal, or you as an admin can go into your own little portal space. You can go to that invoice and you can delete it if you so choose. Or you can just keep it on there and then take notes and say, this was wrongly done, or whatever the case might be. And then you also have an availability to use a sales reporting system of your own that you can identify and make it work for however you want it to work. So if you want, let's say in your system, you want your sales reporting to be done by the week, you can do that. By the day, by the week, by the month, by the year, by the quarter, whatever it is you want to do, you can break that system down or build that system up to meet whatever requirements you need. So if you want to see how you're doing in the quarter, you can use the admin sales reporting to create that. And you can also give access to back office if that's what you want to do. And then there's a security portal. And what the security portal is basically doing in this system is, like, if someone has to dismiss or delete an invoice, which it won't actually delete it, it'll keep track of it, just FYI. But if someone does make a mistake on an invoice and they're like, oh, what am I going to do? Well, you can give them a passcode, and then that passcode can be entered on the invoice section itself by the individual. And each individual can have their own specific passcode. And so what that does is every time someone does something like that, like they dismiss an invoice, or they erase something from the invoice, like you have 25 that you sold 25 hammers in one day, and to one individual, and the salesperson goes back in and they're like, oh, no, we only sold one to that person. As they erase those other hammers that are on that page because they pushed the button too many times, or I don't know what the case might be, but something happened, or maybe they pushed 25 and they meant screws and they pushed hammer instead, whatever the case is. But as they erase those, or as they take them off of the invoice, that information will go into your security portal, and it will let you know what's going on. So you can see who did it, when they did it, and actually add a Y if you want to. But you don't necessarily have to. So this is the page that we're basically going to work on today. And now let's work on two major things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're obviously going to create our own thing. But let's get down to business. So what do we need to create a system? Well, you need FileMaker. That's the first thing that you need. Do not buy FileMaker Server, whatever you do. Unless you are a large corporation and you are so flush with cash that you don't know what else to do, do not buy the server. I cannot say that enough. Always just buy the plan outright And then what we're going to do with this plan is, now I use it for everything. I mean, you can use it at your house if you want to. That's the cool thing about it. If you want to keep track of your finances, if you want to keep track of stuff that's in your garage, if you want to keep track of your children's set schedules and you want to know when Jimmy's baseball game is, you can put all that stuff in there if you want to. It's the most complex, integrated, awesome system I've ever used for writing script and creating a solution that best helps everybody. So in the small business avenue, and that's exactly where we are right now, is we're in the small business avenue. Let's start with the very, very, very basics. So the very first thing that you will probably want to do is you're going to want to get yourself one of these. And so what mine is an iPad Air. It's just a little tiny thing. And of course the credit card company sent me some stickers and credit card processing. Oh my God, right? So the base is a piece that I bought on Amazon. Now remember, I'm not being paid by any of these people, so I'm not saying that this is what you need to do, but what I'm saying is this is what I do. So this is actually the register that I carry around in my store, and I set it down on the counter and I sell products to people. But it is an iPad, and it's a smaller iPad. It's basically just something that, because obviously FileMaker is an Apple product, and it works really, really well on Apple, believe it or not. It's pretty hard to get it to go to the other side, but you can do that. You can make that actually happen to Android. But so anyway, so here I have my Apple, and I have my little stand. And this is something that you're going to need. You're going to want to have this. You don't need to have it right now because you're just now building the system. So it's not that big of a deal. But it is something that you should look at investing in the future, in the very near future, especially if you're going to want to have this out in your store and have your computer system in the back. So you actually do have a true back office. Another thing that you're going to need, and I'm just going to kind of bring this up, and I'm going to bring the page across so you guys can kind of see what we're doing with this. But we have this here. Let's see if it'll come across. There we go. So this is FMP Host. Now they don't pay me. But this is the service that I use for hosting my solutions. Now you can do a single solution for like $20 a month, which is great. It's great, great, great. You will have a little buffering, but that's okay. It just depends, I guess, on where you live. And I live in Wyoming, and this is primarily the server I use is in California. Hopefully they will integrate and they'll get better and they'll get more. But this is FMP Host, as you can see, and it is actually FilemakerHostingPros.com. So you go there, and what that does for you is it allows you to host once you build a solution on FileMaker, you can actually go there, upload it to their cloud servers, and then it's available. And if you have one solution, it does not matter how many connections you have. You can have 1,000 registers in your store. You can be in Florida or the Cancuns, or you can be in Jamaica looking at your store. So you know who's selling product when they're selling it. You can also add, and that's one thing that we're going to do here, and this is going to be a really amazing thing, is you can add a time card or a time solution to your system, so that when someone comes in the morning, they log on to the register. So here's the register, and they would be like, "Hi, I'm Sally," and they push a button, and it will automatically keep track of Sally's time. So it'll be like, okay, Sally came in at whatever time, and then Sally left at whatever time. So you can use this as a time card or a timesheet or a way of tracking actual employee times if you want to. And that's really cool, because if you are away on a business trip and you have 2 employees and Sally was slated to work on Thursday and you were gone Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and let's say you got to your hotel and you're like, oh, I want to see how my business is doing. You check in, you're like, Sally didn't clock in today, and it's 9:30. you can get on the phone instantly and call somebody and say, hey, we need somebody go open my store, right? And if you own a business, I own a business, and I am here to tell you right now, that is the most worst thing. The worst feeling is when you leave to go on a business trip or to go somewhere or to do something, even on vacation. Do you trust that those people are going to be there on time? And if they're not, then here you go. This is the perfect thing for you. So what we're going to do is, now you guys have the basic information. Now I'm using FileMaker 14 Pro Advanced. You can be using FileMaker 12 to FileMaker 16. Any of them will work. FMP Host will host all of those. No problemo, okay? So some of the very first things we're going to do is, today we're going to start off by creating a brand new system. And I'm going to show you all of the stuff that goes in there and how we're going to basically make all of this stuff happen. And then kind of start to build some templates. And that's kind of our big thing right now, is we need to build some templates. So first thing we're going to do is let's create a brand new solution. We're not going to do any security stuff right now into our solution because we're just starting to build it. And we're going to name this one My New Store. And we're just going to save it. And instantaneously, this is what comes up. So what we're going to do from here, because we actually don't have any fields, and the field picker came up and it was like, hey, what do you want to put on your thing? Now, this is one of the drawbacks to FileMaker, is it automatically creates a layout for every single thing that you do, right? Every single thing that you do. So let's close this and let's go into our little, if you can see, oh man, it's kind of hard to see. Let me move this down just a little bit, just a little bit. So if you can see, there is this little button. It says theme, enlightened, whatever the theme is. We'll pick a theme here in just a minute. And then the field picker. And then there's like this little dual square thing. So if you hit the little dual square thing, we have all of these, oh goodness, you still can't see it. Just let me move this over here. Okay, so now you can see it. So we have all of these little things that we can select, sizes that we can select. And what they do, let me tell you what they do. Here in the window, you can see this orange line that runs down here. That's the page size. So that's what you're doing, is you're setting the size of the page that you want. Now, if we do a custom size, we can do 701 by 1275, and that's fine. My original register was written on 701 by 1275. Now you can do a 750, or you can go all the way up to 805 if you want to. It will fit just fine on this. So let's do that. Let's do the 805. And we'll call that OK. And now you see how we've got this long-winded bottom thing all the way down here? It's like, it goes way down there, see? So I'm going to go ahead and move my thing. Oh, dang, burned it. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move my little logo thing back over here, get it out of the way. And now we have the size of our thing. So first thing first, the first thing that we need to do is let's go into manage, and we're going to manage our database because that's kind of a big thing right now. So here we have our tables. Let's go back to the tables part. So we have tables, fields, and relationships. So we're going to start with the tables one. And you see that it's already created you a table. And that table is called My New Store. There it is, My New Store. So let's create a couple of more. Just leave the My New Store there. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not taking up any data. And I find that sometimes erasing it or deleting it or changing it in any way, shape, or form may affect your end solution. So just leave the dang thing right where it is, and I'll show you what to do with it in just a minute. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is we need to create a menu, right? A menu page. So the menu page can be we can use the menu page for a lot of different things, right? And the menu page is not going to create any files. Remember that. I cannot say that enough. The menu pages will not create any files. They're not going to create any information. They're not going to create any data for you to store. Remember that. Oddly enough, I get people all the time. They're like, well, blah, 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 blah. And it's just a lot of blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, hey, calm down. Give me a minute here, will you? So let me take a quick drink of coffee and we'll start doing this really quick. So we're going to make a menu, and we'll create that. And now we're going to create inventory, and we'll create that. And I'm just pressing the enter button. And we're going to create invoice. We'll create that. Register, we'll create that. And your back office, what do I want to do? Let's remember the page, the original page that we brought up. And we had security. Remember that? We had a security thing. So we'll create a security portal. And we'll create, we don't really need... I'm just thinking, should I use, because I can use the menu pages, the menu template pages basically for the admin layout and the back office layout, so I really don't need those. And I do now have my inventory, my invoice. Let's create a reporting one. So let's do sales, and the cool thing is you can do, say, like sales, space, reporting. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. You can do that. You don't have to keep them all one word. Doesn't really matter. You don't have to have the underscores and all that other stuff, like a lot of other things actually do. But we don't necessarily, what we're trying to do now, and let me explain this really, really fast. So what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to create as many of the tables as we know that we're going to need for our completed solution. So we now have the menu, the inventory, the invoice, the register, the security, the sales reporting, and what else are we going to need? I think we will be okay with that for right now. And let's go into the menu. So if we double click the menu one, because this is where we're going to start. We're going to start right at the beginning, everybody. We're going to start right at the beginning. So we're going to click on the menu one, double click that, and it's going to take us to the field for menu. And as you can see right here, it says table menu. We have no fields. So let's start creating some fields. Now you don't need an ID field in the menu because you're not creating any records. You're not going to create any data, any information. So let's just go through these really quick. So I want CodeBot, because that's like one of my absolute favorite things to do. Oop. Look at that. I just put that in the comments. It's not what I wanted. File name. CodeBot. You know what? Let's just make it easy. CodeBot. Okay, so the CodeBot can be a text, can be anything that you want it to. I'm going to have mine as a number because numbers are going to work for exactly what I want the CodeBot to do. So we're going to create a CodeBot, And then we're going to create what's called an inlock. And that one is going to be a number as well. Now, how can I explain this? If you diversify, if you have more than one store, if you have more than one thing, you can create, like your invoice numbers. That's what I'm getting at, your invoice numbers. If you intend on including letters in your invoice numbering system, then make this a text, because you can add numbers and text letters into a text, but you can't add letters into a number field. Okay? Mine's going to be a number field because I don't need to have any of those other things. And I'm going to show you why in just a few minutes. Well, I will show you why on the next video, because this video we're centering our attention on building the templates and building our system, okay? From the beginning. So we're going to go ahead and create our inlock. Then we're going to do what's called a passcode. And the passcode, I am going to make a text because, and you can either just push Control T to get a text, or as you can see when I drop this menu down, it's Control, whatever the, Control N is the number, Control D is the date, blah, 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 timestamp, container, calculation, summary field. So I want the text field. That's going to work for me on the passcode. And then I'm going to have a quantity. And the quantity field is obviously going to be a number field. And then I want a date field. And that is going to be a date. Yes, I'm using my mouse. I don't know why. Probably just because. And if you double click on the date, it'll say on creation or on modification. Well, I want mine on creation, modification, whatever the case might be. We'll just do creation, I guess. That works best for me. We'll just call it good. And now another thing that we're going to need is we're going to click down here. We're going to have a security box, and notice I'm putting all of these in a single word, right? So, and I'm just doing that because it's easier for me to do. Security box, and that is basically going to be a, let's Control T for a text, and we'll have a tracker, and that's also a text. Now, we've done this. We've made this perfect for register 1. Register 1. So this is for our first register. Now, do we need to duplicate and create an entirely new field for register 2? Anybody? Anybody? No, we do not. But I want you to remember that whenever you set a field down, so if you have a menu, you have your starting page or your launch page, your category page, and your menus, and you have 10 different let's say you just have 10 different categories, 10, and you have, so that gives you 10 different pages. If you put a field on one of those pages, any one of them, it will and you put a number in that field like 5. That number will appear on all of the pages because it's a field, and that field will cover all of, so it stays the same. So you can't be like, because one of the things I wanted to do a long time ago was I wanted to be able to isolate the page that I was on and then blah, 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 and say, if this is the blah, 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 and well, that didn't work because the field is continuous through all of the data. So unless you change the field, the date or the number or the information that's in the data, that's what I meant to say, the data that's in that field, it's always going to be right there, right? And so, and if that seems confusing, don't worry about it. We'll get to that later. It's not that big of a deal. But what that means now is that we need to create a tracker 2, and a CodeBot 2, and a inlock 2. Okay, so let's create all of these, duplicate all of these exactly the same way. So we're going to have CodeBot 2, and it is, remember, it's a number, so we're just going to, because we like to keep them all the same, right? CodeBot 2 will have inlock. Inlock 2. Ooh, I cannot spell today. I'm just fat fingering the whole dang thing. Inlock 2. And the inlock was also a number, so we can create that. And the passcode, we'll do passcode 2, and that is a Control T. And the quantity is quantity 2. That's a number, so it's Control N. And security box is the last one, isn't it? Oops. I was going to make that I'm so used to defining them. So it's security and then big B or capital B and go on. So security box 2, and the security box is a text, and we will create that. Now, here we have this. So what we can do is, and this is where I like this because you can move these things around. I just love this, right? I just love the ability to move things around. So here we have CodeBot. Well, here we have CodeBot 2. Well, we can grab CodeBot 2, maybe, and move it up under CodeBot 1. Inlock under inlock 1. And so on and so forth. So this just makes our life a little bit easier if you keep these things next to each other. Now the date, we don't care. You only need one date, because like I said, it will appear on all of them. All of them. Well, the only thing that, if you change the date, you change the date. The date's always going to be the same, but we're not worried about it. You just need that stupid field, even though we're not even going to use the field. Okay, so quantity 2, and then we have the security box, and let's put the date all the way at the bottom. Okay? So now you see we have CodeBot, CodeBot 2, inlock, inlock 2, passcode, passcode 2, quantity box, quantity 2, security box 2, tracker, and tracker 2. Right? Got them all? Everybody? See them all? There they all are. Okay, so now let's say okay. And, well, let's go to relationships first. Look at all of these wonderful things in our relationship field. Isn't that cool? Now, one of the things you can do in this is you can click on that, and you can come down here, and we can change its appearance if we want to. So here it shows us a gray field. Well, I don't like gray. I want mine to be red. So I'm going to make it red. And my invoice one, I want to make that one blue because I'm kind of a blue fan today. And the security one, oh, you know what? That one's got to be yellow, right? Got to be yellow because security. Caution, caution, security. So these can all be, the point is, these can all be, you can make them and manipulate them into whatever you want them to be. So the invoice, we're going to make green. The register, we're going to make purple. We don't really care how these things play out. And the sales reporting. And the My Store, we're just going to leave it the color that it is. And the sales reporting one, we are going to make a beautiful, beautiful, let me think of a good color. Sales reporting, let's just make that one a light orange color. Now you can grab these things and you can move them around wherever your heart desires. It doesn't really matter. Now you will find and you will hear a whole lot of people talk about relationships. Relationships, relationships, relationships. This has to be related to that and that related to this, and all these things have to be tied together, and they have to create this thing, this envelope of information so you can lock it in there. Seriously? No. Do not do that. Do not. If you don't see me put a relationship on it, don't do it. I'm not saying that I'm God's gift to FileMaker, because I'm not. And I'm not saying that I'm God's gift to scripting either, because I'm not. But I will tell you one thing. I've used this program, and I've used it a lot. And I use it for my store is worth millions of dollars. And so having this information secure and making sure that it doesn't change just randomly by itself is extremely important to me. So what I've done is I've developed a system through trial and error of pretty much everything, and figured out the best way to create a solution that will work for me and it will work for you. And you won't have to worry about losing your data. So, and one thing that I found that really creates a major loss of data is, and I'm going to be quite explicit with you, is the fact that you create relationships. Those relationships that you create from page to page allow information to be created and or deleted. And if you create and or delete information on a page because you have one little tiny error in a script or one little tiny error somewhere in the system, all of your inventory is gone. What I want to do for you is I want to be able to create a system that a year from now you still love and enjoy and have had zero problems with. I want a system that you can put your inventory into, put your data into, and when you take your thing out into your store and you're doing spot check inventories and you're like, my thing says I had 50 bottles. How many bottles do I have? And you start counting the bottles, you're going to have 50 bottles. Unless someone stole one from you, there'll be 50 bottles on the shelf. Guaranteed. That's the way it works. When I first started doing it, I had problems with inventory all the time. It was a pain in the butt. Since I started doing this, not a single problem with inventory whatsoever. And we're going to also go into inventory creation later on. So don't get too wrapped up into inventory, but we will get wrapped up in inventory quite a bit. So the very first thing we need to do is we need to go in and we need to manage our layouts. Okay? Manage layouts. Now currently you have the My New Store and the menu. Well, the menu one, if you look at it, if you go to this one, there's nothing there. There's nothing there at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here. We're just going to click into this white spot, and we're going to create a new one. And we're going to, no. That's wrong. We just need a new folder. And this new folder, we're going to call this one Unused. And we're going to click OK. And so here, now we have a new folder, Unused. And this is a great thing to do, and you're going to see me use it a lot. So the My New Store, I'm going to put into, or actually I'm going to put My New Store into the Unused. And menu into the Unused. Simple, easy, painless. Now, if you click, and obviously you don't need to see these, so we're just going to, if you unclick them, and then you come over here, because this is going to show you your layouts, right? This is what's going to show you your layouts. Well, I don't need an unused one. So we're just going to not show that one either. So now when you come over here and you click this, you're going to actually have nothing as soon as it figures out that you have nothing there. So those are shown and not shown. Of course, we are in layout mode, so So, okay, we are good to go. So then, now what we're going to do is we are going to create a brand new one. So, layouts, new layout and report. And we want to show records from, and this is here now, see all of the little files that you actually have. We're going to create it from the menu. And the layout name, this particular layout name, we are going to call this one, what do you want to call this one? We could create a template page and then go off of the template page. So let's create a template page first, and then we'll go off of the template page. Okay? So we're going to do this, and we're going to call it template page, and I'm going to put a space in there, template page, and so you guys can see it. And I'm going to say I want it for the computer. That's fine. That's fine. Say it's for the computer. And do we want a list view, a form view, a table view, or a report? Well, we want a form view. Currently, that's the one that we're going to use for our menu. So let's go to form view. And I don't know why it's doing that, but we'll just say finished. Now, if we go to this thing, exit layout, enter layout. Here we go. So what we want to do is I want to build this so that it fits in this piece where we're at. See? So and if you the funny thing, if you move that, this is the footer. If you move the footer, guess what? It just gets bigger. But if you do this, then you can come up with the footer, and you can make it fit inside of that orange line. Because remember, we are on our custom. And I know you guys probably can't see it, but we're on our custom, the 1275 at 805. Okay? So I think the reason why I did the 705 last time, or that 701 basically, but 705, the reason why I did that was because it gave me enough space that I didn't have to do this when I was building, because that's kind of a pain in the butt when you're building, is to have to constantly move this. But let's see if it lets me. Oh, it does. It's going to let me move this. Of course, I haven't had a screen that's quite this size, but okay. So now I get like the whole thing. Now the footer, if you click on the footer, I just clicked on this little tiny thing right here. If I click on the footer, and I go to my inspector, which is the little I part over here, and I go to this inspector thing, it's going to tell me I can do position, appearance, styles, data, whatever I want to on the inspector. But we are mainly looking for the position. And we're going to go click on this little inches part, and we're going to click on it again until we get to what we call points. Points. And it currently says we are at 1273 on the outside. So we're obviously missing the length that we want, right? So you can come in here and you can click on that. Maybe. Click off of it. And we're going to go 1275. You can just type in your information. I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Hello, Riggs. How are you? It's good to see you. Riggs is actually on our thing here. So, okay. So, I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Put that information in there. Let's close it down. Let's reopen it again. So, 1275. Let me make changes. I want it to be, because I'm a perfectionist, especially on a template page. 805. Okay. So now we're 1275 by 805. There it is. And our footer, we actually want, so we're going to click on the footer, because the footer, we don't want it to be as large as that. We want it to be at about 45. And as you can see, the height is currently 63, and that's not what we want. So let's go up here and see if we can move it down until we can build a 45. What would be really nice is if it would just let us move that. $805. Okay. So now if we click it, our height is at 48, so we're still high just a little bit. God, I wish it would just let me click that. Oh, maybe it will. 45. Ta-da. Sweet. Now it'll cut it off. So Now if I come down, and you can see that it's, if I just, to get it perfect is at times, what a pain in the butt. So here, we can make this 80. That's my favorite, is about 80. So if you click on the header, it'll tell you the height is currently at 80. The body we're not too worried about, but we are worried about this bottom part. So we're going to just raise it up to here. And if you know your points, you can actually be like, what height does it need to be at to make it that 45 that we're actually looking for? But I think we're just going to leave it. Oh, I need it to be 45. 38. 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. All right, we're going to call that good. Even if it's not 45, we don't care. We just need it to be big enough. 53. That's fine. We just need it to be big enough because we're going to actually put something in there. Okay? So, now what we're going to do is, that's really weird, Riggs, because your thingy didn't even show up in the other one. It showed up in that one. So odd. Hello, Riggs says. Riggs, it's good to see you. Riggs is in the chat, by the way, and he is watching currently. So what we're going to do now is we need to, let's close this, and let's pick us a theme. What kind of theme? What do we want it to look like? That's the thing is. So we can make it sophisticated and see how it shows you these little windows and the luminous and the enlightened and the vibrant and the tranquil. So you can make it whatever you want to, but we're going to pick one of these now. So there's minimalist, warm, black, blue, warm blue, onyx touch, bamboo. I actually do like the bamboo one, and I think I've used the bamboo one in some of my other ones actually. So stone, cosmos, forest. Oh, you know, if forest was a little bit darker, I'd use that because I love the forest. Beach, canyon, meadow, electric. I've used electric a lot. Retro is amazing. I love retro because I'm a big retro fan. And then there's wave and wave touch. It doesn't matter. You don't have to use the touch ones if you don't want to, even though, yes, you are going to be using a touch screen on the end thing. Don't worry about it. Just pick one that you like, okay? Pick one that works for you. I am going to use, I think, so often, how do you just pick one? How do you just pick one? There's so many cool ones. River. I think I'm going to do river. I think I'm going to use river. I don't know why, I'm just going to. So we're going to call that good. This is what we end up with now. Is we end up with this beautiful screen that's right here in our face. And what are we supposed to do with it? Well, remember, this is a template. So we're going to do, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to add some text. And the text is the name of your store, whatever the name of your store is. So we're just going to call it your store. And now you have to click off. So click anywhere else. And all of a sudden you get this little box with the dots around it. Now we can actually change it. We can go all the way over here to this little AA. And that's going to give us our thing to tell us what we can actually do. So we're going to say, I want that bad boy to be like 72. Maybe not. I don't know. Whatever size you guys want it to be. 48, maybe 48 would work better. But that 72 is giant, right? It's giant. It's giant. And I'm going to move it. Remember this. This is going to be hard for you guys. This is going to be tough for you guys. But you have to start remembering it. Of course, we're building a template, right? So maybe we'll be okay. But the position of my template, the position of this, your store, is at 25. So if I come over here into my field inspector, my inspector, the position is at 25 set from over here, from this side over. 25. 25. Remember that. Keep it in your brain. Write it down somewhere. Because if you want to keep all of this stuff extremely consistent. Okay? That's kind of a big deal to keep it consistent. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click on this, and we're going to grab the text tool again. And we're going to click in this blue spot, and we're going to do Control M. Control M. And what that does is it merges a field. And the thing that we want is the date. That's the reason why we have it here. It's not going to create a field, but it's going to create a continuously changing date. So if you click off of it, then you actually have the ability to make some changes to it, right? So I like to make mine a little bit bigger. I'm going to go probably 18. Sounds good to me. I'm going to make it a beautiful color. I don't think that particular color is probably what I want. So I'm going to make it a very nice light blue color. And I want it to be, this is the thing, I want it to be the text all the way to the right side. All the way to the right side. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to figure out where I want this, right? So I'm going to bring it up here and I'm going to go all the way, the position of this. If you go all the way over here, you can go as far as you want to. But one of the things that I found, one of the things that I've discovered, and I'm going to be quite frank with you, is that what it looks like here is not necessarily what it's going to look like on this thing. Okay? It's going to look great here, but it's all of a sudden you're going to find out, guess what? My date is completely missing. It's completely gone. Where did it go? So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this position and we're going to realize that we know, because we do know, that this one can be no farther than 890 points over. I don't know why. But I guess we could go 900 points over and probably be just fine. Oop. Golly. I'm just going to leave it at 901. Just leave it at 901. I don't care. Okay, so now we have this. Now you can add, the thing is you can add your own whatever you want into this. If you want to put a logo into here, add it. Put it in there. Make sure that you keep it in one of the fields though. Keep it in, if you're going to put it in the header, put it in the header. Make sure it's in the header. If you're going to put it in the body, make sure it's in the body. Don't cross those two. Don't cross the two of them, okay? So now what we're going to do is we are going to go to our field picker, because we like our field picker. And we're going to start with CodeBot. And we don't want any labels for any of this stuff. So we're going to start with CodeBot. We're going to put CodeBot right here. Where are we going to put CodeBot? Let's put CodeBot right here at let's do 550.
golly, getting that thing in that spot is impossible, isn't it? Okay, so 550. Now, in-lock, we're going to put the in-lock also right there at 550. Now, if we grab both of these, which you can grab both of them. You can make them longer. Now notice I kept them all in the header. I'm keeping all of this stuff in the header. Now I am making it bigger. That's fine. And that's just because there's information that's in there that we may need. So now what we're going to do is we're going to click anywhere. We're just going to get rid of that. We don't really care about these right now at the very second. And we need either a passcode or a security box. Either one we can actually use, or the tracker. But let's just use our passcode. We're going to use our passcode, and we're going to end it with the date. See how it's like ended with the date all the way over here? It's exactly in the right spot for the date. And we can close this down, and if we got the lines with the dots, the holes, whatever, we can come over here and we can change it to 14 or 18 or whatever we want. 14 or 18. I actually prefer 18 for this kind of stuff. So the date, we're going to inch it up just a little bit, make sure it's still inside of there. Put our passcode, make sure it's still inside or all the way inside. And it's okay if it's overlapping just a little bit. It's okay if it overlaps just a little bit. And the passcode, it doesn't necessarily need to be this big, but that's fine. But we're going to click on the passcode and we're going to align it all the way to the right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to shorten it just a little bit. Because my passcodes are usually numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. It's just or 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Something is super simple, so I don't have to deal with a lot of, secret passcode stuff. Don't have to deal with all of that, and that's fine with me. So what we're going to do with the passcode box and what we're going to do with these two boxes, the CodeBot and the inlock. So the CodeBot and the inlock, we're going to go into the appearance part of it, and we're going to come down to our fill color, and we are going to have none, no fill. And the line, none. So there's no line. And now the text you can, if you want to see the text, if you want to see what's in there, that's fine, but you don't need to see what's in there. So you can actually have the text. The text is currently like a weird blue color, and it's 12. If you want to have it red text or no text or whatever the case might be, or yellow, that's fine. I actually like to see my inlock bot or my inlock. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create, let's make this a little bit longer. So I do like to see my inlock and my CodeBot, but I don't necessarily have to see them heavily. Does that make any sense? Heavily. I don't really necessarily need to see them. And my passcode box, we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing. We don't really need to see the fill, so we don't need any fill, and we don't need a line. None. But I do want to see what's printed in there. And so I'm going to make absolutely positive that I can see it, because I'm going to make it a yellow color. And I'm going to do the same thing with my inbox, or my inlock. I would like that to be a yellow color. And my CodeBot, we can either leave it just a very light color, like what it is now, or we can just not have it even there at all, so you don't see anything in there, which is fine. So let's close this down really quick and let's see where we are, what we have. So if we now exit the layout, this is what you see. You see nothing, except for the word your store. Now you have to add a new record. You add a new record, and now the date appears. Now the date will appear no matter what. at all times. The date will always appear. It'll always be there. And if it's not working on your system on date of creation, make it date of modification, because that way every single time that you ever touch anything, touch any button at all, it's modifying it and it'll change it. So and that's pretty simple to do. Manage your database, and you go to the fields section, and this one where it says creation date, double click, data modification, and call it OK. But it should be OK just the way it is. So either which way, doesn't really matter. So as you now see, if we exit the layout, our date now appears at the top. And our passcode, if you click, look at that. You actually have access to your passcode now. But what we don't want is we don't want access to these two. Right? We don't want people to be able to change the information that is in these two fields. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit the layout, and we're going to select these two fields. And then we're going to go into our inspector. And if you go into the, where is it? Position, style, data. I think it's in data. Data. You can say browse mode or find mode. You can make these unavailable in browse mode, which means you cannot do anything with those two fields once we go. And obviously we don't need to go to the next field, and we don't really need to include the field for quick find, but we're just going to leave it like that because we don't really care. So now if we exit the layout, you can see there is nothing on this page except for this. This will appear. So go back into, and we're going to do this a lot. We're going to in and out, in and out, in and out, because I need to show you what it does and how it does it. So we're going to go into our script debugger, layouts, set tab order. Let's do the set tab order. And we're going to clear them all because we don't need a tab. And we'll call it good. Normally I would do the set tab order at the end, but that's okay. So now what we need to do is we need to start setting things up, because this is our really cool one, right? So let's start creating some shapes. We'll create some buttons. We can create buttons. We can create popovers. We can create anything that we want to. So right now, let's create a button. And let's see. I don't want it to be too big, but I don't want it to be too small either. So, and this button, we're just going to call it nothing for right now because we don't really care. We're just going to call it nothing. Nothing, nada, zilcha, zilch, oh, nothing. Because we don't want to add information and then end up having to take it out later. Okay, click off, click back on, and we're going to hold the control button down and we're going to move it just a little bit. And we're going to make sure it's on line with the other one. And if we do that again, it'll, as you can see, it's actually giving us data. It's telling us it's the right distance apart. And that to us is a very big deal. Okay, so now we have 7 of them across. 7 of them is probably fine. On my register, there are 6 of them that go across on the primary page. So now what we can do is we can grab all of them. You don't have to encircle all of them. You can just do this. And what I did was I just left-clicked, drug a circle, or drag a line. You can just drag a line through these, just like that. And now what we can do is we can actually make them fit the way that we want them to fit. And we want to try and keep them quite beautiful with each other, right? So now that we did it, we put them dead in the center. Now if we hold the control button, we can create the exact same thing And now I'm going to use my directional keys. I'm going to go up, 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 because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a space that's relatively equal to the other space. So all of my spaces are roughly the same. I like that. Now, if you want to click, you can grab these again, press and hold Control, straight down, straight down. One, two, three, four, five, six. 6 is normally where I'm at, but I'm gonna go ahead and do another 7 because I think 7 by 7 because my store has a lot of stuff, There we go. Now, if you wanted to, you can grab all of them, and you can slide them down, which is probably a good idea because you're gonna want some space. You're going to want a little space. Now you can type in anything that you want to in here. You can type in the name of the page. So if you come up here and you grab a text tool and you come over here and you can say template menu page, right? And you click off. Now you can come in and you can change it to 24, which to me is like the best. But in this particular case, we're going to do 18. And if you bring it over and you put it in the center, if you get the center line thingy going, then that's where it will always be. It will be actually in the center of your system. In the center. And that's kind of a big deal. Okay, now what we can do is we can either name these if we want to. We can put names in them, or we don't have to put names in them. We actually have a lot. We have a lot of them. And if we click on one, I'm just going to use this one, for instance. If we click on it, we can say nails, and we'll click off. And now if we click back on it again, I'm a big fan of 24 on the buttons. The size of the buttons being 24, or the size of the words being 24, because I like them to be very clear and very concise. So nails is what we currently have up there. Now, can we do a button that says hammers? Hammer. And click on the button, and we'll go to 24. And hammer works. So as long as that works, but you can click on this button and you can go to your inspector, and I really apologize if I keep leaving the inspector over there because that's not what I mean to do. I mean to make it so that you guys can see it. But if you go into the inspector and you go into your styles and or your appearance, you can change the gradient. You can change anything you want to about all of these buttons all at one time. And if you'll notice here at the advanced graphics spot that we have a buffer of 16 points on either side. So if our word hammer would have been hammers with an S on the end, it probably would have created an issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this over here, and I hate to move it over here where you guys can kind of not see it, but I need to be able to grab all of these. All of them. And oh, it's not what I wanted to do. There we go. All of them. Now, if we do, and here it shows nothing. It shows nothing. So you have to put something in there. So we can put 1. It says 5 and 5. So 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Let's go down to 2. We'll click off. Close out our inspector, click off. Now it will be, all of them will be the same. All of them. And we can also grab all of these too. And we can set them at, right now we're at Tahoma. We can set them all at 24. We can set the color of the text for all of them so they're all the same or they're all different or whatever we want it to be. I like to keep everything the same. And obviously we're building a template, so we don't want to put too much information on there, but we want to put enough information on there that it makes it easy for us to actually use it. And so the nails and the hammer is just fine. We will leave them there and we will erase them in a later one. And now what we're going to do is we are going to start doing some of our field pickers. So if we come over to our field pickers, we can use our security box in the bottom. Let's see. We don't want a label, so we're just going to do our security box. And we're going to put it way down here in the bottom. Make sure that it is inside of the footer. And our tracker can do the exact same thing. And make sure that we're dead in line. There we go. I like to keep them all right in line. Right in line with each other. And our quantity box, this is the interesting thing. This is the interesting thing. Because we want to put the quantity in there, but we don't want to do it right now. I mean, we do. But let's pick a, let's figure out what we want our page to look like. And then we'll do it, okay? So I'm going to just go ahead and close this. Now, the colors of these boxes are okay, but they're not something that I just am in love with, right? We're just not in love with these. So let's go into our field picker, or our inspector, excuse me. We're going to go into the appearance. We're going to click on this little end thingy here. And it's going to allow us to pick a color. So we can say we want it to be blue. We want it to be bright and blue and cherry. And voila, here it is. But if you don't want it to be blue, if you want it to be, you know, a darker, more, you know, but you also have to figure, can I see what I've written? Can I see my writing? Some people put pictures in here, like very complicated pictures, like pictures of French fries or pictures of a hamburger, and they use those pictures on their buttons. And that's totally fine. You can do that, and I will show you how to do it. Just let me know that you want to know how to do it, and I will show you how to do it. It's basically you just go into here, gradient, you select image, you select your image, and it will put it in there. And if you want, the cool thing is if you had an image of like your logo, you could make the buttons, your logo, a puzzle piece of your logo behind them. Because if I select an image, and I say, I really like this image, then what happens is, and we tell it scale, original size, see how we're changing it, scale to fill. Now they're all, but see, you can't read. You can't read what you wrote. Of course, we're doing all of them. Or slice it, or tile it. You can do whatever you want to with an image. But we don't want an image, we want our gradient back. And I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this, I mean, I like this. I like the brown is okay, or the tan is okay. But I just think that it just doesn't pop enough for me. So I personally myself, I'm going to grab this, and I think I'm going to select probably a darker, let's see what it looks like with yellow, a much lighter yellow. I'm a big yellow fan. I like my stuff to just pop, be like, there it is, I know it's there. But maybe I think I will go with that, just a lighter color of that tan, which would be totally cool. Well, it's darker. Oh, I really like that blue though. That blue just kind of has me. I'm just like, oh, that blue is so cool, but that's not what I want. So let's just, if you want to, you can just go solid color, then you go back to gradient, and it will put the original gradient back in there. Now you can also change the line that goes around your deal. So if you want it to be a darker colored line to really make your buttons pop, you can do that. And see how it just changed it? Pop. Now your buttons have a line around them, and it actually looks pretty cool with a line around it. Now, for my particular system, we're going to use a large row of buttons down at the bottom. So we're going to make these very precise, exactly how we like to do it. You don't have to do the same thing if you don't want to. You don't have to make them the way that I do them, but that's fine. You can, whatever you want to do is perfect for you. So I'm going to use, I think, 5 of these, and I want them to be a solid color. And that solid color that I want is a very dark marble-esque color. And I want them to have a bright outline. And so now if I click on this one, I can say invoice. And if I click on this one, I can say menu. Click on this one. Directory. Exit. And I think that this last one, because you want to be able to, so you don't have to worry about what you're seeing. So we can just go in, we can highlight all of these, and we can say, you know what, we want a different color. We want that color to be white. And we want all of our lettering to be bold. And bold did not look good, did it? Did you see what happened when I bolded those? Those just did not look good. I don't even like that font, to be honest with you. I have used, some of my actual favorite ones are like, I like Budoni. I like, oh, what's that? It was a really old one. Constantina. We're just going to kind of go through and show you what a few of them are like. Calimbri or New Times Roman. New Times Roman is really super good because it's clear. And that's the biggest thing, is you want to make it as clear as you possibly can so that you can see what the heck you're doing. That's the big thing. You want to be able to see what it says. You want to be able to see it. So these ones, typically, this is very different for me, because typically all of mine are very, 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 how can I put this? All of my things are usually very colorful. I have lots and lots and lots of colors. But this one I want to make more muted. I want to make it more like professional, more English style, if you will. So we're going to just make this pretty cool. And this last one, we're just going to go ahead and leave it alone, because we actually want this one for an entirely different reason. So, and what we're going to do with this one is, this is the one where we're going to put our quantity in, right? So that you guys can, I want a quantity of 10. I want a quantity of 20. I want a quantity of 50, whatever the case is. Okay. And then we're also going to make some changes to these buttons on this side too. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on nails, and I'm going to delete what it says in there because I don't really need it. We don't need this for a visual anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete those. Now these two boxes in and of themselves, we can delete them. And then we're going to grab these and we're going to stretch them all the way across to where they're even with everything else. And now you have the exit, the directory, the menu, and the invoice right at the bottom, and they're easy to get to, so you know that you're going to go back to your main menu, go to your invoice, you're going to exit this register, you're going to go to a directory page, which is a page that you don't have to create. I create a directory page sometimes depending on what I actually need the register for, or what I actually need it for. Or if I'm doing a lot of complex things, a directory will take me to places that are not necessarily on the sales page. So that's what I use the directory for. So now let's create. We need to click off. So let's create our quantity window, because I know on some of my other ones I didn't show you how to create the quantity window. So what we're going to do is we're going to click off, we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to grab a field picker. And in this field picker, we need our quantity window. And we're just going to grab it, we're going to bring it over here, line it up with that outside edge. And now I want to make it big, right? I want it to be full size. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to grab it, and I don't know, 36. You guys think 36 would be too big? Might be, right? Might be. So let's grab it and let's see if we can get it to actually fit in here. So what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to get it to fit exactly over the top of the other button. Exactly over the top of the other button. So now it's perfect. We're going to close our field picker, get back into our inspector. Move our inspector over here so you guys can see it. And the color that we want is none. We want to see right straight through it, right? We want to put it dead in the center too, so we're going to grab this little dead in the center thing, the alignment for the center. And now the color of the text, that's the interesting part. The color of our text, we're going to come down here, we're going to select white, because we want it to be white when you're typing in there. Anyway, when you're typing in there. Now if you go to position, if I can get there, oop, maybe not. Maybe it's in data. It must be in data. Okay, so you can put a placeholder text when the field is empty, if you want to. So we're going to use the word quantity. Quantity. We'll say quantity. What the heck? We'll just leave it in there. Available in browse mode, available in find mode. That's all great. And it's just general format, so we're good to go. Oh, we still got to get back into appearance. We don't want any outside line either, so we're going to just select no line. No fill, no line. Because we don't want it to show. We don't want it to be like right there, you know what I mean? We want it to be there, but we don't want it to be there. And then this, just select one. Or go down if it'll let you. Sometimes it'll let you select 1 or 2. 2 is fine. I forgot my number lock is not on, so I keep using my keypad for the numbers, and that's the reason why I'm not able to do that. That's kind of weird. So we're going to go 2 and 2, and it's dead in the center. And now if we exit the layout, this is what it looks like. That kind of looks bad, doesn't it? So if you don't like that, which I don't. I think it looks like yuck, right? Let's fix it. Let's fix it. So we're going to we're going to do something with this. And what we're going to do is, if we type in like 10, all of a sudden, see, it erases it. It erases what was in there before. But if we go backwards, we just delete it, then it'll give us the quantity thing again, and that we don't really like. So let's go back into our edit the layout. We're going to select this, go into our inspector button, and we now know that if you go into data, it will say quantity. Well, we don't want it to say quantity. We want it to say absolutely nothing, because that was, I think, one of the ugliest things I've ever seen, and it was gross too, right? So we're going to get rid of that, but we are going to create a text. Let's create a text, and the text that we're going to create is we're going to text. Okay, here it is. So the text that we're going to create is quantity, and click off of it. Oop. Better get back to our little selector thingy. And we want this to obviously be 24, and we obviously want this to be New Times Roman because we want it to be the same as the other one. And we want it to be bold, and we want it to be white. And so now if we grab this, bring it down here, we should be able to line it up with the center. And it's not going to let us, maybe it will. Okay. So now if we come out and we exit the layout, all we see is the quantity. But if you select it, it's going to stay there. That's the bad thing, right? It's going to stay there. So let's edit the layout. Select our little quantity window. Go to our inspector. And you can then do this. Hide object when. You can hide object when. Let's do not. Oop. Let's delete that. Delete. Not is empty. And the field will be quantity. And now we should be good. And we don't want that field to be available in any other systems. So now if we exit the layout and I'm getting these notices constantly. So now if we exit the layout and we type in 10. What? It should have erased it. Darn thing. All right. This. Golly. We'll get there. We'll get there, guys. Let's see. Conditional formatting. Maybe we'll just do a conditional formatting. So, we don't want it formula is. Delete. Cancel. Hide object when not is empty menu quantity. Button setup. Do nothing. This is considered to be a grouped button. Only its action can be modified. I see. Okay, well, I'm going to stop being quiet because I'm never usually very, very quiet. And for some odd reason, My page has just gone crazy. My page has gone crazy. All right. Let's deal with that. Let's stay with that. Now, what I want to do in addition to this is I want to create really create some amazing effects. If we could just get rid of the fact that that actually says quantity in there, which it doesn't need to. 24, and let's just do no color. I selected none. Inspector. Appearance. No color. But apparently it won't let you select no color. It has to have something in there while it's there. So we'll just call that good. We're fine. Now what we need to do is we need to get rid of some of these boxes. And we need to recreate some of those boxes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create what's called a popover box. Let's move on quickly because I don't have like forever to build these boxes. So the popover box, I want it to be exactly the same size as these other boxes. And we don't need to name it anything currently. What we do need to do is make absolutely positive that it is exactly the same size as the other boxes. Okay. Now if we grab our popover box and we move it, which is what we want, we can grab this box and we can delete it and delete it and delete it and delete it and delete it. Okay, so grab our little popover box and let's go all the way to the outside. Now, normally I would say we're just going to control and do this, but we need to figure out what we want in our popover box. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our popover box and we're going to grab our inspector because we need our inspector to complete these things. We like the fact that it's on that side, right? That's a good side for it to be on. We're gold with that. So that's all that we really need to do with that. But what we don't want is we don't want it to say popover. So we need to delete that. And now if we come, you can see that it now says nothing at the top where it used to say popover button. So now what we're going to do is if we click on this box, we can make it whatever size that we want it to be. Large, medium, small. And we can change this solid fill color. If we want it to be a lighter color, we can make it a lighter color. We can make it a darker color. Make it any color you want to and just make it pop, right? I, on the other hand, have done gradients. I have done none, which to me is the best way to do it is with none. I just don't like you can have a line color, which is fine with me. I actually like the line color. I don't necessarily want a line shadow or an outer shadow. Of course, we can add an outer shadow. That's fine. But my line colors, I will usually go 2, and I will create them, or 3, to just kind of give it that zing that there it is, right? It's just a really cool box that's on the outside. And now we can close the inspector, and what I want to do is I want to create a box that will do more. And my popover button, it's really hard to explain what I want it to do, but I'm going to grab all of these buttons. I'm going to press and hold the control button. And I'm going to move them over here. I'm going to kind of put them in here. Control Z. Okay, we'll grab these. Control Z. Control. So if I press and hold the control button, Control Z. Okay, well, apparently that's not working. So I need to make this box bigger. For now, let's just make the box bigger. That's just going to make life a lot easier. So I'm just going to grab these, hold the control button, move them over here, copy them, and then there they are. They're now on my new page. And I can grab them and move them into exactly the spot that I want them to be in. One of the things that I didn't want was I didn't want them to be quite so big. I wanted them to be just a little bit smaller than the other ones. Because these are directional. So what I'm going to do with these boxes is I'm going to have these be a very directional sense for me. So if I decide that I want to go somewhere, or let's say these are the most sold items. I sell these more than anything else. Or they're shortcuts, or they're passkeys, or they're whatever you want to. You can create these into anything that you want to create them into. And so that's one of the things that I do with them, is I use them a lot for creating an entirely new directions to go into. And so, but I don't like the color. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make some changes to it. I think that in this particular case, I definitely want these to be a much more lighter color, kind of a very yellow color, because I want them to stand out. I want them to be different. And now they are. So from here, I'm going to leave a little bit of room at the bottom so I can identify what it is that I'm actually doing with this. In this particular sense, these are going to be, I'm just going to say routing, I don't know, or common sold, or common items sold. You could put anything that you want on there, but if we click off, we can go to common items sold. We can make it 24, which is, as you know, to me that's the size. 24 is the size. I'm going to line it up dead in the center. We're going to put it dead in the center. We're going to change the text color. And this text color, I want it to be a very dark red color because I want it to pop. I want it to pop so I can see what it says. And now I can close this, and I can close this. And this button, I'm going to change the button to the color of the button. So we'll go back into our inspector. We're going to do a solid color. And that solid color is going to be that, where's that blue color that I had? Is that the color, or is it, I guess I could use a slightly lighter color. I can use a slightly lighter color. I prefer it to be that exact same color. That definitely is not the same color. It's got to be that one. All right. So, now that I'm here, I might as well change my line too, right? Because we did a very light blue colored line around it. Okay. So if we close the inspector, this is one of those scenarios where, there we go, dead in the center. This is one of those ones where we can actually copy this one. Come on. And because this is our template, right? This is our template. We're just fine with that template. And I'm just holding the control button down while I'll reselect. Now I'm not holding the control button down. I let go of it so I can get it dead in the center. And I'm using my directional keys to make sure that my alignments are perfect. Now you can either grab all of these and stretch them if you want to make them like all in that row size. If this is something that you want to do, you do not have to do this. You do not have to have these particular buttons, nor do you have to stretch them. If you don't want to create a different look, if you don't want it to be like this is, that's fine. If all you want is just a bunch of boxes, that's fine. So now what I'm going to do now is I want these boxes to pop. I didn't put anything in them, but I'm going to give them an outer shadow. And so I'm going to grab the shadow, and the color that I want the shadow to be is not near that dark. I want it to be a pretty light color. And I'm going to offset, I'm going the wrong direction. So, okay. Perfect. Now I want to blur it because I don't want it to just be like, bam, you know what I mean? I want to blur it a little bit, and I'm going to spread it by 2. I don't like to have a big spread, but 2 is pretty good for me. So now that we've done that, we can actually put writing in there if we want to, and we will. Right now I don't want to add any more information than what I absolutely have to. So I'm going to move this back so you guys can't really see it a lot, but I'm going to move it back. And here we have, the bad thing is on this quantity button. Now this is something that you might want to know. On the quantity button, remember it is a text, the quantity field, and a button. So there's 3 objects there. If you add a shadow, an exterior or an outside shadow to that button, if you just selected it, you're going to add shadows to all 3 of them. So you have to move them. And how you can do that is you can grab this, pull it up here, grab your text, pull it up here, and now you have just a clean one that you can just grab them all, put an outer shadow in there. We're going to try and hopefully be able to select pretty much the same color. Why didn't it just tell you the color that you had? And up is down. I just want to make these look really super good. And so we're going to blur the heck out of it. But I do want these to be just a little bit darker because I want it to really, really pop. And we're obviously going to spread it by 2. I like to spread by 2. So now this is really just gonna pop. Now, some of the other cool things that you can do with these things are, and now we can take our box, we can put it back on there. And if you want to, you can, let's see, this little quantity box. You don't even, you know what? I'm just not even going to use this little quantity box. I'm just going to throw that sucker in the garbage. Edit layout. And you'll just have to, do you see what it did? It put it all the way up there, didn't it? So now if we edit the layout and we go into our position and we go into this, we can see that these are disproportional. One's at 6, one's at 9. So what we need to do is we need to bring the bottom one down, and we need to increase the top one to where it actually gets it in or very close to the center. So you can just kind of line those up. You can actually take the window and move it over there if you want to, and then get it set if you want to. I'm going to pick New Times Roman, and I'm going to pick bold because that's just me. And I think it's close. I think it's probably close enough. that you wouldn't ever even notice it. So we'll just go ahead and call that good. And now if we exit the layout, you can see these buttons, see how they change the color? Ding, 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 ding. They change color because these are buttons that are going to give you a pop-out. So if I select the button, and see, they're all going to be the same. All of them are going to be the same. And you can add to these or change them individually, so they're all individually whatever you want to. And if you don't want to see them anymore, just click off anywhere. So now we have this really cool setup. This would be like fasteners, tools, crafts, glues, whatever, hardware, building materials, whatever you want to. So whatever the categories are, and this is what that's what this page is all about, is being a category. Now what we do is with this particular page is we can, if we go into edit layout and we manage our layouts, you'll see that there's our template page. Now the template page can be, you can move it around all you want to, but the best thing to do is to just copy it. Once you're completely satisfied with your page, you're like, this is a great template page. I'm not going to make any major changes to this page other than maybe add some titling or whatever the case is. You're totally happy with the page. The best way to find that out is to exit your layout. Make sure that you're very comfortable with the way that it looks. Now you can put in your template page, which we did not do. We didn't build our invoice. We didn't set a menu page. We haven't built a directory, and we haven't discovered what exit is going to be. So our template page is kind of a template page that we're going to have to, every single page we're going to have to make changes to. So we're going to have to tell the exit button what to do on every page, the directory button what to do on every page, the menu button what to do on every page, and the invoice button what to do on every page. But the coolest part about that is we can create a script. And then we can just assign the script to those buttons as we further our adventure. So for now, I think I am totally satisfied with this. I'm a little disappointed with the fact that I was incapable of getting my little thing to disappear over my quantity, which is kind of odd because it normally disappears when you do that. But you can also, if you want to, you can just type quantity really small in the text and put it on the bottom. You can make all kinds of changes. You can set another field in there that does nothing, that actually has no information or whatever the case is. But for now, I think we are going to call that good. Let me show you really quick how to copy these. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to manage our layouts. And the template page, we're going to select this duplicate, and it will automatically duplicate it. And now we're going to edit that because we don't want that to be the name of it. So we're going to name it launch page, and it's from the menu, so it's good to go. We're happy with that. And we're going to go back to our template page. We're going to duplicate that again, and we're going to call this one we're going to edit that one, and we're going to call this one category page 1. Category, I don't know why I did that. Category page 1. And we'll call that good. So we'll go back to our template and we will we'll duplicate it again. And this time we will call this one, we're going to edit it. We're going to call this category page 2. Okay. So from this point, and we're going to agree that that's where we want it to be and what we want it to do, we're going to unselect our category or our template page because we don't want our template page. but we do want a launch page. So let's real quick go to our launch page and figure out what we want to do with the launch page, because it's going to be very, very, very different from the current page. Okay, so let's do that really quick. We've been on for about an hour and 49 minutes. So this won't take but about 10 minutes to actually accomplish. So let's just do that. We'll exit the layout. If we go over here to our layout, we see we're in the template page. We're going to go select our launch page, and it's going to be identical to what we had before. We'll edit this page. We're going to rename this. And of course, we want all of that to be center. Want it all to be center. And so we're going to grab it, grab our template page, and we're going to call this the launch page. And notice I changed the wording, but I'm not touching it because I don't want to move it. So if I use my directional keys, I'm going to get it dead in the center. Ta-da! Now, because you'd be surprised how often those things will go up and down, up and down, up and down all the time, and that's really not what we wanted to do. So these, we do not need these. We don't need them. Delete. These, we will need a couple of these, but we're not going to need the quantity window. So we're going to get rid of that. And we did erase that one, but we don't really care. So now we have the exit, the directory, the menu, and the invoice still stuck over there just fine. Of course, we can Control Z if we want to, and that will bring back our thing that we did. And we can select this outside one and delete it. We can double click this one, and we can do this one. We can call Backoffice, or we can call it admin, or we can call it whatever you want to. For now, I want to call it the Backoffice because that's what I want it to do. And we can change what all of these things actually do now, which is really super neat. So we can directly go to an invoice, but we don't need an invoice, do we? We can go to a menu, but we don't need a menu, do we? We don't need to exit, but we can use this exit as a total exit. But I'm going to go ahead and click on it, double click it, and I'm going to call this one administration. And this one I'm going to call time cards. And these, what do I want these to do? Well, for now, let's just do not used. And the invoice will do you no good here, so we'll just type in not used and not used. Now, one of the things that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to be able to break this down to go into our category pages. This is our launch page. So from here, it's pretty simple. You need two buttons, basically two regular buttons. One that goes to category page 1, one that goes to category page 2. So I think at this point, let's just do this. We're going to grab all of these. We're going to delete them. I want to leave these buttons alone. So I'm going to run them down to the bottom. Just in case I need these buttons at a later date, I want to have them. These two buttons we can use for our store or for our selection. You can put them in the center if you want to. The best thing to do, though, is probably make them a little bit bigger. Then move them to where you want them to be. Okay, so we need to select one of them. And this one, we will say it is register 1. And we want it to do a single step. And we want it to go to a layout, right? And the layout that we want it to go to is the category page 1. And this one, we'll double click on that one. And we want this one to be called register 2. And we want it to do a single step. We'll just type in go to, or go to layout. And this one is category page 2. Now on category page 2, if you need to, and sometimes it happens that way. Sometimes you need to identify if you're on register 1 or on register 2. And that can be very complicated. You can either add artwork, you can change the color scheme, you can change certain things, you can add wording at the top. Whatever you want to do that's going to create a system that identifies if you're on register 1 or register 2, you need to make sure that you know that you're on register 1 or register 2. You can, a lot of times, I will add the register part to this top piece. So let's do that really quick. If we exit the layout, we can see none of these buttons work except for these two. If I go to register 2, it'll take me instantly to this page. And I can type here. Of course, it won't let me type until I edit the layout. If I type here, and we want it in the center, but it doesn't really matter. Let's just go backwards. Okay, so we're going to say register 2 category page. And now if we click off of it, we can utilize our directional side-to-side directional buttons to get ourselves directly, maybe. Come on, turkey. Maybe. It's not going to let us go dead center. Not going to show us the dead center. But we know that the dead center is right even Steven with this dang thing. Did you see that? See how it raised it? When I tried to change it, it raised it just a little tiny bit. So if you are worried about it, you can always go to the position. You can always look at, it's 96 from the top. See that? It's 96 from the top. And now if we go, we need to do something with this. So let's go exit button. This one is going to perform, well, let's just do a single step. And the single step that we want this one to do is we want it to go to a layout. And the layout that we want it to go to is the launch page. And what we're actually doing is we're just creating a giant circle. So now if we exit the layout, we see the date, we go to exit, it will take us right to this page. If we go to register 1, edit the layout, touch this, it raised it just a little bit. We're at 95. We'll probably survive with that. Delete, 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 delete. And this one is register 1 category page. And if we click off, we should be able to, hopefully this one will set it in the center, but I have a sneaking suspicion it's not going to, because it doesn't like me today. Here it goes. And then we will hit the, we want our exit to work. Go to layout, original layout, layout, launch page. Okay. So now if we go to our exit, and you can change the color of the button too. If you want the button to be light blue when you hover over it, you can do that. But when you're on your thing, when you're on your tablet, you never know. I mean, you push it, it's like you never see that color change, so the light doesn't really affect me what color it is when I do it. But I can show you how to change that color as well as to what it does. But you need to let me know that you want to see that. Otherwise, I'm just going to leave it the way that it is. So we go to the exit, and it will take us here, register 1, register 2. Register 2, register 2 category page, exit, register 1 category page. Pretty simple, exit. So now we actually have a 2 register system, although it doesn't do anything currently. But as we go on, our menu pages will be identical to our category page because we don't really need that to be different. Once you get into the menu part of the page, this really works well for you. If you are on register 1, let's just say, excuse me, it's 12:18. By goodness, I'm 2 hours and 1 minute. I'm so going to have to get off of this. I'm just having so much fun today. If let's say you have a cafe. If you're not going to use all these buttons, don't erase them. Just leave them there. I mean, because always best to have room for expansion than have to build on later on. So just leave them there. But let's say you have a cafe and you have coffee, decaf coffee with blah, 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 whatever the case is, at a half cap, and when you're charging differently for every single tiny thing, that's where some of these buttons can actually come in handy because you can actually add extra things into these and tell your script what you want it to do. But hopefully you guys like the colors. Hopefully you like the way that this is working out. Hopefully this works for you. I'm absolutely positive it will. If you hang out to the end of this series, this is a brand new series. This is going to show you how to build an amazing system for your store. And I am so glad that you guys joined me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful weekend. And if there's anything that you want to see and or know, just hit me up in the chat, or you can hit me up in the comment section below. I get those and I answer them all. You can just ask anyone who has left a message. And also in the description below, there is an opportunity for people who, because I've had a lot of people ask if they can donate, and I really do appreciate your donations. Your donations help me a vast amount to be able to give this product to you, to be able to help you build this. And if I've been of any help at all to you, I would certainly appreciate anything you could do for me. So thank you, everyone. And until the next time, don't forget Monday, which is tomorrow, I will be doing my normal stream on the old one that we started. This is a brand new series that we're doing, and it's going to create a brand new type of register, and we're going to create both of them at the same time. So we're doing both 1 and 2, just as you saw on the diagram. I can probably bring that back up for you, just as you saw on the diagram here. we created a launch page, and now we're at the category pages. So in the next time, we'll be creating our register/invoice pages, and we'll create back offices and admin portals. Super simple to do. I'll let you see all of that as we develop it. And we're going this time, instead of going from the outside in, we're going from the inside out. So we're kind of taking a different approach at this, and hopefully it helps you. So until next time, thanks everybody. I really appreciate you joining me. Be prepared. We're probably going to do a little script writing next time, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for joining me. Bye.